Well, hey guys and gals, welcome to Boomer TV and the game show. I cannot imagine there is anyone out there who has lived a long and full life without a great story to tell. Hi everyone, I'm Andy Asher. I'm editor over here at bloomerboomer.com, magazine and blog, which is all about living and about lifestyle over 55. I have my game controller in hand here, and in a moment we are going to talk with with a writer, a publisher, an expert, Judy Katz, whose advice during the pandemic is to write your memoir or your business book or whatever it is in your heart. Now she explains it's a great time to do it. That in a moment. And by the way, today in our game, I have stepped back into Battle Royale, as you can see in my background here. During the last show, this controller of mine had crapped out for some reason. During the show, hopefully, I'll have a little bit better luck then. Now, we are beginning June with some fabulous shows. Now, Judy has a rich background, and we'll hear from her in just a moment. Tomorrow, it's an amazing love story about how two strictly platonic friends in college fall in love. He is a Christian monk, ultimately quits. Together they create a renowned winery in the Napa Valley. On Friday, we hear from Stephen Capsuto, who is the author of Alternate Channels, Queer Images on 20th Century TV. And you can learn about what's coming up in our newsletter or connect with us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and bloomerboomer.com, where this is all playing live. Now, like us to hear more about what's going on. And in the meantime, let's get started. And remember, I love marmalade. Well, I am so excited that you are here. This is really exciting, Judy. You have an amazing background, and let me ask you the first thing: how are you doing under the circumstances that we're all living in this plague? And what's your secret or ability to be mentally functional and healthy at the same time?
Well, thanks for asking. In this unprecedented and dare I say unprecedented time, we all have to find some way to stay positive, especially when you have CNN or any of the channels on all day long and your heart is breaking. I went to UC Berkeley in the 60s, so I marched for anti-war Vietnam, and before that I was a freedom rider on the buses for racial equality. So I really feel this, but given that I was used to, and I'll tell you if you ask me how I became a ghostwriter, but I've been used to working at home the last number of years. So for me, the transition wasn't that great in terms of not being in an office. But still, I miss
real life,
restaurants, Broadway.
Isn't that tough?
Friends.
Yeah, that is so tough. And here, the restaurants were going to open, and then that was going to be today, or at least many of them were, and that didn't happen. So where things stand, I guess we're going to have to wait a week or two.
So we have two pandemics right now, and they're running side by side. And I just hope that we don't see an upsurge, because so many people are walking around without masks and congregating close to each other, and so I guess they kind of forgot, the demonstrators, God bless them, but they've forgotten that we're also in a contagious time right now.
Yes, indeed.
I don't know what's going to happen, but I try to have a positive attitude. I like to think this is a global reset, and that we're going to come out of this more loving and appreciative and tender with each other.
Well, we have to take that approach, and I was, by the way, reading up on you and what you have been doing in the writing game, and you've been doing this for a long time, haven't you?
Yes. So it was about 12 or 13 years ago. I had been PR director for Madison Square Garden, the March of Dimes, etc. Then I started my own PR firm in Midtown. I had 14 people working for me. And I was not writing. I was everybody's Jewish mother. And it was a hot day in August, 100 degrees. And I was, you know, having to deal with everybody's dramas and not doing what I passionately love, which is writing, coming up with ideas and so forth. So I went home to my 2,000 square foot, 3 bedroom, 3 bath, God bless, terraced apartment on the Upper West Side that was sitting empty and air conditioned. And I said to myself, what can I do that I get fairly well paid and I could do it from home? And I thought of ghostwriting. Now, at that time, 12, 13, 14 years ago, there weren't as many ghostwriters then as there are now. So I had a story, because I was in the media, I had a story in the AP that said, woman of a certain age transitions to ghostwriting, see your life as a book, a movie. Hundreds of people called me from all over the country, which sounds like a good thing, you would think, right?
Uh-huh.
So they'd call me up. I would listen for an hour or more to their story. And then when I got to money, even though the article said she did it as a living, a business, they would say, pay? No, you don't understand. So they wanted me to write the book they couldn't write, get them on Oprah, make it a bestseller, and then they would give me a piece of the lottery ticket that I just won for them. So I went to a PR client. I said, you need a book. And she said, why? And I said, because it's the ultimate marketing tool. And she calls it her $8 million book. We printed 7,500 copies. We sent it out to the CEOs of her target market, and the phone never stopped ringing. And her business went to $8 million in a year. So what I tell people when we talk about their possibly becoming an author is a couple of things. One is, I can't be responsible for how many books will sell. That's an act of the universe. That's word of mouth. That's marketing. That's a lot of things that are not always in my control, although I do marketing too. But if you give me your wish list, if you tell me what you want this book to do for you, then I will make sure it does. Now, some people want to do a TEDx talk. They want to get paid, speak keynote speeches. They want to have higher paying clients if they have a consultancy. They want their brand to be better known, really positive things. And I have a whole bunch of books here that, here, for example, Who's Got Your Financial Back? Conquering All Challenges with the Right Advisor by Paul S. Reback. So he didn't sell tens of thousands of books, but he was able to give away the book to potential clients who had millions of dollars to invest. So, there are many, many different ways. Here's Angel of the Ghetto. This is an amazing book. One man's triumph over heartbreaking tragedy. It's a Holocaust memoir. These are stories that Sam Solas never told the world, not even his children. And he came here after losing 11 siblings, his parents, everybody in Treblinka. He came here and built $100 million business in New York.
Now, do you attribute that to the book?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
He built a meat business here in the city.
But the book was sort of a sidelight. Is that it?
The book was a way for him to tell his story. And then we went to Poland. He took me and a bunch of people to Poland, where he was honored as the Angel of the Ghetto. And he died at age 90. But the last 2 years of his life, he was celebrated for having the book. People got to talk to him about it, and it was the happiest 2 years.
Was the book sort of his entrance into meeting other people and them knowing about him? Is that how the book played into his life in some ways?
He spoke at his temple. He spoke on television. Yeah. It was a way to tell a remarkable, unbelievable story to the world.
That's a great reason, and maybe we can dig down into that a little bit more, because I let's do that in a minute. And I'm sure
Sure.
it's just because of me. Even after I published my little book, it was Bucket List for Boomers. I never really expected to make a lot of money on it. Is
Yeah.
is that right or wrong? Way to get started?
Well, here's the thing. There are over 1 million books published every year. Uh, Look, Borders is gone, all those stores. Barnes and Noble is retrenching. There are a lot of independent bookstores, but pretty much people are buying on Amazon. And also, by the way, audiobooks. I did an audiobook of that and of this other book that I'll tell you about. Very interesting. But yeah, I really I don't know what to say about the money because people can recoup the money that they spend working with somebody like me. They may make some other money, but the real money is in that wish list. What else you want your book to do?
Yeah, I think that's true, and also there's a little bit of a bucket list issue where someone just has a story that's in them that they've got to find to get out of them. So I think there are two goals maybe, but I'm wondering how much is luck involved in having a successful book.
You know, the definition of luck.
Uh
So
huh.
it's with hard work,
Yeah.
a lot of hard work. So I mean, since I had a PR background, it's kind of one-stop shop where I can then do the social media thing and get people the interviews and the speaking opportunities and so forth. Um,
Yeah.
so I mean, of course, luck plays into everything, but I think having a good marketing plan, and I start my marketing plan halfway through the writing of the book because I think, like with movies, they say coming soon, next month. We start drumming up interest in the book halfway through. I have to tell you, people come to me and it's heartbreaking. They've spent 2, 3, 4 years writing a book, be it a memoir, be it a business book, whatever, and they say, this is what I don't know them. And they say, Judy, my book is on Amazon and nobody's buying it. And I say to them, well, what did you do to market it? And they go, market? And
Yeah.
I say, would you open a retail store, spend a fortune on renovating the space, not advertise, and then on opening day throw your doors open and pray that people
You're
come in?
so right. You're so right about that. And also, it seems to me that some people may be, maybe more bankable, you might say, because they, have a built-in audience. And I'm thinking of maybe a nonfiction professional book, like I think you were talking about, is someone who's generated a level of fame already, and of course,
Absolutely.
timing is great, and timing is always great. If you got the right book at the right time, you're in good shape.
Well, this one became a bestseller, Creating We by Judith Glaser. And if you might, can I just read you a couple of sentences? Of,
Sure.
I mean, I'm bragging, but
Are they inspiring sentences that I can live by?
she says many of us think we have books inside us, and we either find a way to put the words to paper or we just dream about doing it. There are a few people I want to acknowledge who are pivotal in my book writing journey. First, to Judy Katz, my personal friend, who is a genius at she said genius, finding, developing, and promoting authors. Without Judy, I would have lived only with my hopes and dreams of writing a book. When my words were good enough, she introduced me to Al Zuckerman, who became my agent. So Al Zuckerman is one of the top literary agents in the country and the world. He started with Ken Follett 54 years ago. He's got Michael Lewis, Stephen Hawking worked with him. So everybody, it's a who's who.
Wow, yeah,
I
I've been
do.
just following Michael Lewis. He's fantastic.
He's fantastic.
Yeah.
And, so Al's a star maker, and he wrote a book called Writing the Blockbuster Novel,
Uh
which is
huh.
a classic and Bible. And he's my close friend. But
Well, yeah,
here's the thing.
I love what you're
I,
doing. I think it's great.
I also work a lot with novels, like especially roman à clef. Everybody goes, what? So it means a novel with a key, meaning that you take a true story and you turn it into fiction, whether it's now many of the if you Google Romana Clay bestsellers, you'll see Hemingway's Old Man of the Sea, The Nanny Jar by Sylvia Plath, on and on and on. I mean, the list is endless. So that's sometimes it's better than doing a memoir to
Yeah,
turn
and
your
I so
life.
much agree. I'm sorry, I'd interrupt. Go ahead. What is it better than a memoir?
No, that's no, I was just going to say, so, memoirs don't sell unless you're, Michelle Obama or
Yeah,
somebody famous,
yeah,
rock star. What you said
right.
before.
That's
It,
right. Yeah.
it's, are you an influencer? Do you have numbers behind you? If you don't, then try turning your life into a novel, and then I can help you maybe sell it to the movies. Or you know what? Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu, they're looking for content.
They're looking for content.
They're looking for content. They have a hungry audience. They
Yeah.
have to keep churning new. So that's why sometimes it's smarter to and also you can tell your story with more freedom. You
Yeah.
don't have to worry about your ex-husband suing you,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah, no, that's so true. I think, and as I referenced a little bit earlier, I think everybody has a story to tell, and to them, their family, and everyone else, it's a great story. Um, and I think the idea of taking that great little part of that story and then developing it into a fiction novel, then it could have more interest across the board. And that's probably something that you help people with. But that's something I've noticed. Hey, I was playing this game, Battle Royale, and I was not paying attention like I should because I was listening to you. And what happened was I got knocked out of the game. But anyway, that's why I'm not playing it right now. Everybody's just watching one of the other games that was played earlier. But it's a fun pastime of mine. But I would like to hear what you say about niche writing, and I think we talked about that a little bit. What I mean is to find really narrow interest categories and write about that. Do you see what I mean?
Niche, is that what you said?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Well, let me say this. I want to just comment on something you said a minute ago, that everybody has a story.
Yeah.
No.
No. Okay, I like that answer. Now tell me why.
Okay. A woman called me up. She says, "Oh, you have to help me with my memoir, my life story." I said, "Really? What's your life story?" "Well, I had 4 husbands, and now I'm going to marry a fifth, and all 4 of them were bastards, and they abused me." And she goes into a whole long litany. And I realized that number 5's going to abuse her too, because there was nothing, no insight. I said, "What's your responsibility in all this?" "Oh, no. I just chose the wrong people." Some people don't have insight into their lives. They just want to, spew out some story that nobody would be interested in if you don't take responsibility. In other words, there have to be life lessons. And what I honestly tell people is this. And at first they get upset. I say, there are no new stories. Shakespeare took care of that. Maybe the Bible before Shakespeare. All the stories are in Shakespeare. But there are new voices. And we human beings need new voices to inspire us, remind us. I mean, any movie that you see has a theme, like Joseph Campbell always talks about the prototypes. So there's the hero that falls from a high place, et cetera, et cetera. There are certain kinds of stories. But we love stories. We are a storytelling animal. That's what we love. And people should not go to their eternal rest or their next life, whatever you believe, without telling their story, as you said, for the generations. At the very least, if you write a memoir, and you're right, this is the perfect time to start a book because we still have the advantage of time.
Yeah, and just going back to your story that you just told about the woman with the five marriages,
Right.
maybe she learned something that that I can learn from, and you can learn from, and others can learn from. Uh, do you see that as an option?
If that woman had learned something, finally, she might have had a book.
Yeah,
Maybe it took 4 or 5 um, terrible situations to realize that
yeah,
she, with what she was putting out, because I honestly believe that, you have to. Why are you constantly choosing people who abuse you? I mean, I've had 3 husbands, and I had 3 wonderful marriages, and I was always treated with love and respect. But there are people you talk to, everything falls apart for them.
yeah.
So where are they in that?
Oh, for sure. And of course, then there is the big discussion about consumer tastes and trends. For example, is nonfiction versus fiction writing better? Does it matter?
No, 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 no. If you write something interesting and you market it appropriately, you will find readers. But I do believe in audiobooks these days. We hired a couple of actors, because, like, for example, this book, No More, No Less. So this is a very wealthy and wonderful human being who had a virulent form of skin cancer that eventually ate up a good part of his face. But he says he's no more, no less. But at one point, he had had several major surgeries, chemo, radiation, and they told him, we can't do any more. Your body won't take it. And the cancer came back. So he made a bargain with God. At his lowest point, he said to God, if you give me more time, I'll do more good in the world. He was already a very generous philanthropist. His cancer is gone. What happened? Well, Merck has a drug called Keytruda, which was not being used for his kind of skin cancer, but suddenly he got it, and the Keytruda, that was part of it. Maybe God had something to do with it. But, this is an amazing story, no more, no less, an artful cancer journey, a remarkable community, a rediscovered purpose. He is so happy, and he lives
Maybe,
in New Orleans. He's so happy to have been able to tell his story the right way in the form of a book.
and maybe the philanthropy was part of the good wishes and that that he got back. Yeah. Now, for someone who wants to reach you, I know that you have a website and they can contact you there. And so, talk about that a little bit. Well,
And
you sound
sometimes
really, really experienced and knowledgeable, and I think,
I am,
yeah,
I am. But Andy, sometimes people say to me, you know what? I know some ghostwriters who are a lot less expensive than you. And do you know what I told them? I don't argue with people because it's true. There are, and some more expensive, but I tell them this: a Timex tells time, and a Rolex tells time.
mm-hmm.
That's all I say. So here's what I think:
Okay.
everyone should feel they're the Rolex in life. If you feel that, I mean, the world is going to give you back the value that you put on yourself. So you should always feel like you're the Rolex, and don't argue. There are people who will do things for very little, and there are people who charge a lot more. And if you hold to your value in life, I think you'll get it. So yeah, I have a website. It's Katz Creative Books and because I'm going to tell you the truth. If I think you have a story, or the book that you may want to write may not be the book that you at first think you should write.
I'm glad you talked about the thick skin because my early days in writing, I had an editor. We had editors, and I was young. I was just learning, and I realized, boy, these editors are tough, but they make you better. You know, that kind of criticism and help makes you better, and you learn, right?
There's a way to do it.
There is a way to do it, yes, certainly. But sometimes in the haste of getting things done, people forget about that.
Well, I don't say to people, don't give up your day job.
Yeah.
But and the other thing is sometimes people have a manuscript that needs book doctoring.
Yeah.
And what I tell them is, honestly, you have done something that most people don't do. You actually sat down, you wrote a book, you finished a book. That's the good news. Now let's get to the not so good news.
Yeah, good way to put it. Good. Well, listen, Judy, we've taken a lot of your time, and I guess we've already talked about how people can get in touch with you, and you had some good advice. Is there anything that generally to throw out to would-be or writers, people who want to publish? Any thoughts about that?
I really think that if you've been hoping to write a book, I'll tell you this, I'm putting on my PR hat. I can't get people the big interviews anymore unless they have a book. They always, the media asks me, the influencers, the people on social media, everybody asks me, so does that person have a book? What's their book? You become an authority immediately when you have a book. And if it's a good book, you actually will get people to read it. But, being an author is it's not a good to have, it's a got to have today.
Beautiful. Judy, thank you. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it and I learned a lot.
Oh, thank you, Andy. It's a pleasure.
Well, thank you again, publisher Judy Katz. You can watch the replay on Facebook, YouTube, and at bloomerboomer.com. Until then, I want to say so long, and remember, I love marmalade.